guys, good evening. Happy Thursday, and welcome to another episode of the SoFLo Sports Show. It's your host, 305 Sports Babe, co-host Lou from Dade. He is back. Last week I had Finn Sammy on the show, and I had such a great time. I mean, you were missed, but I had such a great time with Sammy.
I know. I'm thankful that I still have my job. Finn Sammy did such a great job. So, Sammy, thank you for holding it down. I was a little under the weather, and also still depressed about the Hurricanes, championship finale where they were not able to finish and bring home the championship. But I'm back. Sammy, you did not succeed in taking my job, but thank you for pinch hitting for me last week. And we are thrilled to have another great friend on with us.
Yeah, tonight on the show, we have a great friend, like Lou said, Bobby Fins Talk. He's the host, producer, creator of the Fins Talk Sports Network. You guys have seen him on our show before. We've talked a little bit of everything with him, even wrestling. So really excited to talk some Dolphins and Canes with him tonight.
Absolutely. And we also want to talk about, if you're living under a rock the last couple of days, the Super Bowl matchup is set. So we're definitely going to talk the Super Bowl matchup that is now a week and 2 days away. So that's a big deal. The Hurricanes, mentioned the Hurricanes season did not end on a positive note. Tremendous season, but they just fell short of the ultimate goal. But their schedule actually got released, believe it or not, which is a tremendous turnaround time for the schedule to be released that soon afterwards. And they had a big addition, also two big additions this week to the roster.
Yeah. Before we get into that, shout out to Josephine Evie, my grandmother. She's tuning in, laying in a hospital bed right now. I'm glad that she was able to get on the Wi-Fi at the hospital. Bad story. When I first promoted the show, I wrote Wednesday on everything. You didn't even catch it.
I did not catch it.
She was the one who said, Ash, it's Thursday. So even though she may be sick right now, her head is definitely in it. And Sammy, he's alive. Glad you are back. My brother could never fill your shoes.
Thank you, Sammy. Appreciate it.
I
did a bang-up job. I was worried. I'm not going to lie. I did a great job.
All right, so feel better. Glad you're tuning in. And Sammy in the house. All right, so without further ado, let's bring him on. Bobby Fins Talk.
Bobby!
Yo. Hey, guys. How y'all doing?
The champ is here. We're doing great, but not as good as you. Speaking of Sammy, Sammy's Fins TV always does a yearly contest with a bunch. What was the final number? How many people did you go up against? Do we have a final count of how many people?
Oh my gosh. Sammy's watching, so but I think it's like 100 and I don't know, 100 some odd people. I want to say 140, but I could be way over. But it was a lot of different people within our Dolphins community. It was really cool. Sammy put a great thing together. And, I know some people, they forgot to make picks. I was zoned in. Tati got really annoyed at me. I was like, no, I got to do this. And up to the final week, to the final games I was watching, when I realized, I was like, wait a second, I think I just did this. And I waited, and Sammy then messaged me, and I was like, there it is. And then there it is right there.
Look at that thing.
That is pretty,
That is nice.
In the words of the legendary Ric Flair, I'm styling and profiling, baby. Feeling good.
You're going to have a hard time keeping these alligators down. You are flying, wheeling son of a gun, whatever he says. He's the ultimate showman.
Speaking of Sammy, he's in your lobby. Where are you? We're going to pass along Bobby once we're done with him. So, Sammy, sit tight. We got to borrow him for a little bit.
It's all good.
So let's just talk. We already know Super Bowl. Super Bowl is next Sunday. We know our matchups. You got to give me a little credit. I know Bobby's the champ, but I predicted the Super Bowl matchup weeks ago. I did. I'm usually not good at that.
I got to be honest. You did do it. And so credit to you. You predicted the Seahawks and the Patriots, two teams that no one thought at the beginning of the year were going to be in it. So that was very surprising, but kudos to you. You did predict that.
Thank you, but not kudos, because when the Patriots punched their spot to San Francisco, you flipped out and you went on a temper tantrum, along with pretty much everybody in Dolphins Nation. Like, who wants to really sit for another Super Bowl with the Patriots? Granted, it's not Tom Brady and Bill Belichick, but it's still the Patriots.
Yeah.
So, Bobby, how the Patriots got there just 1 week back. They played in Denver with a Bo Nick-less situation. Their backup quarterback, Jared Stidham, still trying to figure out the name.
Steady Stidham.
Couldn't do it for them. Granted, the game was a total blizzard in the fourth quarter. Bobby, what was your take on this game? Do you think that Denver could have beat the Patriots if Bo Nix was in? And what do you feel about that game?
Yeah, I was very excited for that game, or the potential of that game, before Bo Nix got hurt. And I think that, yeah, if Bo Nix was in there, I think probably would have been a lot closer, or that Denver could have pulled it off. I would have loved to see Denver. I was rooting for Denver. My father-in-law was rooting for New England because, Brady and, but I was like, they're gone, dude. What are we doing here? Like, this is a Dolphin house. I don't care. But Patriots won. I mean, it just tells you how fast a team can turn it around if they make the right decisions. I mean, you think about what, as much as you hate it, you think about what Robert Kraft has done after Belichick and Tom Brady. He brings in Jared Mayo, and it's Mac Jones, and it doesn't work. It didn't work. He saw 1 year of them of Jared Mayo, and he said, I'm going to make a change, which is unpopular in the NFL, but he did it. And he went and got Mike Vrabel, and they go get, Drake May, and now look where they're at. So it tells you that a team, no matter how bad they could be, can turn it around that quickly and be there. It just tells you really how, for some people, it does start with ownership. So it sucks that New England's there, but it's also kind of like a silver lining for teams that are struggling or in the bottom of the basement right now, that you could turn it around.
Definitely. A quick shout out in the chat. Miami Mike Rivera, our buddy on the West Coast, had surgery, so we missed you the last few week or so. So glad you're back, and hopefully you're feeling better. But Bobby, you make a good point with Robert Kraft, where he saw something wasn't working and he made immediate action. Can you imagine if the Dolphins did such things with so many head coaches, GMs, quarterbacks? Maybe we wouldn't be in the position that we're in now. Just saying. Yeah, no,
they obviously left Greer be in command too long. A lot of people argue that McDaniel stayed a year past his welcome stage. So do you agree with that, Bobby, in terms of not having having a short leash, actually, like Kraft did, and getting the next guy up that obviously paid out?
100%. Yeah. I mean, again, obviously he did finally do it. He got rid of Greer. He got rid of McDaniel. And obviously it looks like Tua is about to be done, so that's the blessing, but it's true. I mean, he has kept guys way too long, and you kind of wish that someone like Robert Kraft, where it's like, hey, he just came from a Hall of Fame coach, he just came from, or not Hall of Fame coach. Sorry, Bill, but not yet. But and you think he'd be a little more patient. He just came off all these championships. It's like, no, he wasn't. He's not satisfied with what was, and so he made that big change, and he went nose deep into Vrabel. And brought Vrabel in, and they go and you see where they are now, and you're like, man, you see you could do that sometimes, because there are Dolphin fans that are like, dude, we only had this guy for 3 years. Every 3 years we do this. Yeah, but sometimes it works. Of course, you need the right guy. Difference between those every 3 years compared to last year or this year was that it always had Chris Greer. Now it doesn't. Now you have Sully. Now you have Halfley with him. So it's a different vibe in Miami. So we'll see how that plays out. But absolutely, you got to give Robert Kraft the kudos there.
Hate to do it, but yes, you do have to give him credit. Going back to that game, though, 10-7, Sean Payton had an opportunity here, knowing that his backup, a guy that hasn't taken a meaningful snap in 3 years, and really now people expected him to even win the game, had a chance to go up 10-0 and didn't take that, didn't take the points, went for it in that fourth down, and that was their only score of the game, as it turns out. And 10-7, 10 points by the Patriots was enough to get them, to the Super Bowl. And so any thoughts on that, on as great as a coach as Sean Payton's been, Super Bowl winning coach, maybe overthinking the situation there and getting greedy with a backup?
Yeah. It just, again, he outsmarted himself. Sometimes you just got to take the points, and he didn't, and it paid off. It paid in the end. I think if you're a Broncos fan, though, I think you understand the situation that you didn't have your starting quarterback. If I was a Broncos fan in that situation, if Miami was in that situation, and let's say Halfley made that same choice, I'd just be happy that we got to that dance and be excited that, hey, you got a guy like Bo Nix who's going to come back. You got a team with a foundation there that is going to be better next year. So he absolutely outsmarted himself. Hopefully, I think, didn't he just fire his OC? It's kind of as a scapegoat move. I think that's the bigger story than it is just, not taking the points. But no, Broncos fans have nothing to be ashamed of. It was fun. And that was a classic football game in regards of the snow. And I love watching games like that. That's football. That was fun.
Yep. That's that weather, no doubt. And last thing on that game, the fact that a lot of people thought the fix is in because, you don't want to see Jared Stidham in the Super Bowl, someone known. There actually is a precedent for it, and all three have won as far as recent memory. I can think of Doug Williams, going back to Jeff Hostetler, and then Nick Foles with the Eagles when he took over. Granted it wasn't the playoffs, but he took over Carson Wentz's spot like in game 16 or 17 of the year. So he just had one game to work in the regular season and then right into the playoffs. So it has happened before, and it would have been cool to see the underdog story playing in the big stage.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I don't like the fixes in thing. I think the bigger story, the more exciting thing would have been the Broncos getting in because of the backup quarterback. You would think, oh, Bo Nix is out. That's it. They're done. Imagine if they would have won. That would have been huge. Just imagine if the Hurricanes would have won it all. That would have been bigger, than Indiana. I know even though Mendoza is awesome, Miami's story would have been better because that's like the underdog, the ultimate underdog story. So I think Denver would have probably been a better story. That should have been the fix if there was a fix.
Agreed. And much better uniforms too, by the way. I love the Broncos uniforms.
Yeah, 100%.
On the other side in the NFC, a totally, completely different game, a shootout, 31-27 game won by the Seahawks. Matthew Stafford played a tremendous game. I mean, just firing the ball up and down the field. But at the end of the day, the Rams defense just couldn't stop the Seahawks. And, look, credit to Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold, who's been cast off by 4 NFL teams, now finds himself in the ultimate game. And, look, he's been playing great all year, played great last year as well. And so sure enough, the Seahawks are in the Super Bowl for the 4th time in franchise history. And so that takes us to our matchup. But, again, credit to Sam Darnold and that Seahawks defense. No, we don't want to see that. So here's your Super Bowl matchup right here. Seahawks and the New England Patriots.
At Levi Stadium, not this Sunday, next Sunday. And it'll start 6:30 p.m. here on the Eastern Standard Time coast, Miami coast. And so, guys, in the chat, obviously, we're going to talk about this more next week. But go ahead and put your Super Bowl prediction. But, Bobby, the champ. What I don't even know. Yeah. What is your prediction for? If you want to, Bobby, Ashley and I are going to give our predictions next week. But you are the champ. If you want to maybe give an early read on what you think, and actually before you do that, Bobby, and guys in the chat as well, Bobby, where will you be watching this big game, the Super Bowl? Where will you be watching it? And what are your favorite Super Bowl foods to eat?
Oh man, well, I'm gonna watch it at home. It's what I do, I watch it at home. We'll enjoy it at home. I'll probably be the only one with my son watching it. My in-laws usually don't. They'll kind of poke in and out and look, and father-in-law might poke in and out here and there, actually watching the game. But everybody usually comes in during the halftime show, But I'll be watching the game itself. And the best food always, no matter what, is chicken wings, man. Chicken wings with some ranch and celery, and that's the food. It's like we're not nothing. Oh, let's have some black beans and rice or whatever. No. Let's stop. Put that away. You can have that any day of the week, bro. Let's go have some chicken wings, fries. Let's do that. So that's my football Super Bowl food would be. That's the perfect dish. And in regards of winner, there's 2 reasons I'll go this route. First off, because I do not want to see them win, but I'm definitely going Seattle. Again, as much and again, it's just really, I'm not going to put any real hate because I wanted Vrabel. Last year and the year before, I was like, Vrabel's the guy, and Fitzstanza will tell you I've been banging the table for him. Of course, he goes to New England, and you see what he's done. Drake May's done great. Those, what they've done again is commendable. You got to applaud them as much as you hate to do so. But also what a story Sam Darnold is. And even Seattle, you think about it with Pete Carroll all those years, and then Pete Carroll leaves and they bring in Mike McDonald, and what they were able to do and what they're doing right now and what Sam Darnold has done, supposedly a bust with the Jets. And you're right, Lou, from jumping from team to team, showing that he could be a with the Vikings, a decent quarterback. And you go, oh, well, maybe that's just because of the system in Minnesota. He's not that good. He's going to flame out somewhere else. He goes to Seattle, and holy crap, this guy's a legitimate quarterback. This is a damn good quarterback. No wonder he was a first-round pick. He's playing like it. I think that would be the better story. I think Seattle's the better team, and I think Seattle's going to win the Super Bowl.
Nice.
Very interesting. Miami Mike Rivera West Coast says,
There you go.
so you think the Seahawks are going to win? I think pretty much the whole entire country wants and hopes Seattle will win, minus New England area.
Yeah.
I think that's fair to say.
Agreed. All right, Bobby, so let's move on. Hopefully, the Dolphins are one day in the Super Bowl, and so I don't know if you want to – can you put Sully in?
Yeah, let's
So
put these guys up, these studs.
We want to get
these press conferences, they're amazing.
So, look, we want to get your opinion. I know that it's obviously been a week now that they gave their press conference. And, guys, if you're watching over on Twitter or X, come on over to YouTube.
Dolphins Thirsty just joined us from YouTube. Jim Forrestal. I'm supporting my Navy Buddies team. While we were in a shirt and hat. Go Hawks. Hawks 31. Pats 14. All right, they're with us too.
There you go. So, yeah, come on over to YouTube if you're watching next to Twitter. Make sure you like this episode and subscribe to the channel. And show Bobby some love. Bobby Finstock does a tremendous, tremendous job. He's got a big show coming up right after ours. So definitely stay tuned for that. Hop on over to his network and check it out. So, but Bobby, wanted to give you a floor here to talk about what you thought of this hire. Both Green Bay men, Packers affiliated men,
Jersey Shore looking men.
They come down here to Miami, and I think we're just going to call him Sully and the Half. So don't hassle the half. Kind of like a David Hasselhoff take on that.
Yeah, there you go.
So what's your take on these guys coming down here and running the show, the new brass in Dolphins world?
Well, first off, when Miami finally did it, when they fired Greer and then they finally fired McDaniel, and they got the clean slate, I couldn't have been more excited. And, as much as, you want to hate on anybody or anything like that, that was the right decision by the Miami Dolphins, by Stephen Ross. Clean slate, clean house. They finally did it. We talked about GMs on FTSN, different candidates. We talked about different head coaches. Before Greer was fired, and when we talked about different head coaches, the same as it was years before, I was banging for a veteran head coach. I want a guy with experience. I don't care if, but look what he did at the last job and look what he did there. That's why they're available. That's why they're there, but I want an experienced coach. In regards to GM, we talked about a few of them. Obviously, everybody had kind of their favorites. I think most people, even if you had another guy at number one, Sully was right there in that conversation. He was like everyone's top three, whatever. He was definitely in mine. So when they hired him, I thought that was a home run. I thought it was awesome. As it went on, the conversation went like, these are the list of people. Everybody started kind of throwing Hafley's name out there. Right away, for me, when the name started getting thrown out there, because it was Green Bay, I was like, I don't want that. I don't want what they did with the Cowboys when they brought Ireland and Sperano and whatever. However, as I went further into it, and you see these names up here, obviously Chris Shula, right? Don Shula's Clarence. Listen, I'll tell you what. When people are like, I don't want him just because he's a Shula. No, the reason I like that Shula and Kubiak was because of their family, because of the connections they have in this league. They grew up in this business. So even though we know what happened with the Rams against Seattle, I think Chris Shula one day will be a very good head coach down the line. Kubiak might be going to the Raiders. But the more and more I looked into Hafley, the more I thought about it. Yes, it's another rookie, quote unquote, head coach in the NFL, even though he was a head coach in Boston College. I was like, you know what? This may work because it's a different GM. If this was Chris Greer and we win another rookie coach, I'd be tossing this table over. Probably can't do a show because I'd be too pissed. But because it's a new general manager, it makes sense to get the rookie coach that these two. And then you watch him, even though I was like, you know what? It makes sense. I'm cool with it. He got his guy. But then the press conference. First, you hear Sully in the Dolphins produced videos, and you're like, holy crap. Everything he's saying is, it gets me excited, and and Tati was laughing at me because she kind of saw me like kind of giggle a little bit. And she's, what do you know? I was like, don't, she's like, you're such a kid. I was like, leave me alone. Because everything he was saying got me excited. And then, you listen to the press conference, and I was dealing with the flu. I was sick, so I was home. And so, but I was like, I'm going to watch this. Evan texted me, he said, hey, dude, you want to do like a reaction show? And I was like, oh man, I said, all right, maybe I will, But so I was like, let me go. I watch it, I put it up. And then you see these guys together. And you're listening to them talk, and you see first off, the emotion of it. You see how passionate they are, how emotional they are to get these jobs. Sully said he's been with the Packers for 20 plus years. He was, he had the tenure, the flexibility. He wasn't going to leave for any job, but he left for the Miami Dolphins. He was sold on what Stephen Ross told him. Obviously, would they bring in Troy Aikman? And you see how passionate he is, and he's tearing up. And for me, I was like, that got me excited. I was like, he gives, he gives a shit. That's cool. Like that matters to me. He's not trying to outsmart us. We know where they are, where we are. We're fans. They're up there, whatever. No, he was one of us at that moment. It's like, how many of us have been passionate and pissed off that we got to scream and get, that's how much this job means to him. I got that excited. And then Coach Half comes up. And this is the guy where he wasn't on the first of anybody's list. But then he spoke. He didn't have a teleprompter. He didn't have nothing. He just spoke from the heart. Yeah. And I was like, holy crap, dude. No wonder everybody loved this guy. 6 teams wanted this guy. They wanted to sit with him. The Titans were going to hire him the next day. They had to settle on Saleh. You see why teams love this guy. And, and you hear what Sully says, that he sat back and let him just talk with the guys. And he asked Marino and Aikman, 2 of the greatest at their position ever, to do it. He said, would you guys play for him? And damn well, they said, yeah. And you could see Halfley was laughing. He was enjoying it. And then Halfley started getting emotional about it. And it was like, damn. I'm like, I was like, they really sold me. And so much so that every time I listen to these guys talk, it's further down the line. I'm like, again, and Sully said it, there's no guarantee. There's only guarantee that they're going to put the work in. But you see them, how they react, and you see how they are together. They're fist bumping, they're talking, they're kind of joking with each other. Guys, the fact is, we never had that. Guerrero's gone through Adam Gase, Brian Flores, Mike McDaniel. You have those first, press conference honeymoon. They're kind of, we're going to do everything right together. And then you find out there's a little bit of pushback. There's a civil war going on. There's a little, these things are getting leaked. You're not going to get that with this. Stuff, yeah, you're not going to get that with these guys. These guys are going with the same mindset. They're on the same page. Now, they may disagree, but they're not going to go to Stephen Ross and disagree. They're going to go to each other. It's like, Lou Ashley, you guys probably, you can talk to each other and you may get annoyed with each other, but then you have each other's back. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Hey,
that mute.
The mute, but that's kind of how it is. You're with your buddy, but at the same time, you guys are on the same page and you kind of the same message. To me, we'll see how it plays out. But right now, it feels like the right move. I'm very excited about where this, for the first time in a long time, legitimately, not this whole fake, look at his picture because everybody's talking about his haircut. Not that. It's what I heard, what the message that's coming across, what they're saying. I'm like, I don't know what the final thing's going to be. We may be back here in 3 years, but right now, for the first time in a long time, I feel pretty damn good about the Miami Dolphins, about where they're headed.
Micah Parsons made a real nice statement about Half. He said, I'm generally happy for Half. Great guy, great person, gonna miss his energy. So us as Dolphin season ticket holders, we got invited to an event on Ash Wednesday coming up in 2 weeks. We get to meet the general manager and the head coach. It's like a State of the Union, so that'll be exciting. But even more, mark my words, I wouldn't be surprised if they both show up at DCC as well. Especially if they want to indulge in the community and know, what we kind of do outside of football. It would be a great opportunity for them and their families to really dig into Dolphins and Canes, something passionate 100%. For us. So.
They should, absolutely. And we'll talk about DCC in a second. I know you'll be there. So, hopefully they'll make an appearance there as well. I want to touch back on this quote from Micah Parsons. I mean, this is a big deal. Micah Parsons is an all-pro, all-world player, really, a tremendous force of a player. And he was only there for about, 10 games? Because he got traded last year. So he doesn't have to make this statement, by the way. He was just there with him for less than a full year, and it could have been all right, on to the next one. So he made an impression on a player with the caliber and the pedigree of Micah Parsons. That's a big deal for him to make this statement. And it says a lot about his energy and all the things that he thought about him in order to release it. So that's that looks great for us, bodes well for us.
Sammy wants you to co-sign Bob. You were on the same page on this. I trust the process for the first time since Jimmy Johnson. Wow.
Right. I'm telling you, man. Yeah, I'm telling you. But Lou, you're absolutely right. He didn't have to say that. He's only known him for how long? I mean, he got traded midseason. For him to come out and a player at that stature to come out and co-sign, there's a word, on this hire and give this guy that time. that tells you something, that how this guy could connect with his players. So absolutely, again, I know people, oh, you're being a homer. I'm not really. I'm just excited. I think he gives the right vibe. It really does.
I'm with you 100%. And so here's Jeff Hafley. He's getting his staff together. Chris Tabor from the Buffalo Bills is your special teams coordinator. Has brought in Liddell Betts for your running backs coach. Brought in a couple Packers.
So they do.
Defensive back Ryan Downward, defensive backs coach Ryan Downward from the Green Bay Packers, and of course the linebackers coach Sean Duggan, which a lot of people say may be the defensive coordinator. It also came out, Bobby, as you're aware, that Jeff Hafley's going to be calling the plays on defense. So what are your takes on that? Do you think Duggan will end up with the role as a de facto defensive coordinator when really Hafley's the one that's pulling the strings?
Yeah, I think he will be. I think that's kind of where everything is pointing in that direction, that Duggan's going to take over. And, again, I wanted a coach who, again, full disclosure, I wanted a coach to be a coach, delegate, be the head coach, delegate the offensive play, different play calling. But when you heard Hafley talk about it and why he wanted to do it, it makes a lot of sense. And honestly, I think sometimes it's better for the coach to, if he's going to call plays, be the defensive coach, because offense, you got to be in the middle of it. You got to sit down and talk to your quarterback. With defense, call plays, and then you get back to managing the game. You look at it again, Chris Tabor from Buffalo, very good hire. Veteran coach, come from the Buffalo Bills. They bring in Betts from the Giants. He's the running backs coach. Yenser is your new offensive line coach. Downard, which makes sense. Green Bay guys, again, especially on defense. That makes a lot of sense because they are, if Duggan is the defensive coordinator, it makes sense for him to be the DC. He knows what Hafley wants, how he designs plays, how he calls plays. So it makes sense to bring those guys in. Offense, it's different. Even though he's very familiar, a lot of people are like, oh, it's going to be Green Bay South. But the legitimate, if you look at it, it's like Adai, who's your cornerback coach, he is not affiliated with Green Bay. He coached at University of Miami, coached at Buffalo last season. That's huge. Nathaniel Hackett is your quarterback coach. So Darrell Bevell's gone, supposedly. Hackett comes in. I know a lot of people are kind of mixed feelings because they're like, oh, look what Hackett's done and whatever. But it's like, this guy's was a former head coach, knows what it is to be a rookie coach in this league, an experienced veteran coach, but also he's been around. He's worked with a lot of quarterbacks. I'm really impressed. Everybody talks about, oh, when you come to coach, it's all about the staff you put together. And so far, this staff has looked really good, where every time I kind of see him, like, okay, the only one you got to kind of go like, is for me was Slovic. Was the only one.
That was my question to you. If Bobby Slovic now our offensive coordinator, so you said that was a little questionable. He was our senior passing game coordinator, and now he's our offensive coordinator. So you're going, I cut you off a little bit, but you're going with that. So not so set on that, Bobby?
Yeah, I'm not hating on it. It was the only one where I was kind of like, And so when I try to think about it, I'm like, okay, how can I, it's like, how can you make yourself feel good about this? Well,
his name is Bobby. Your name is Bobby.
That's true. That's true. He's my boy. Good name. I like it. Maybe he gets us one of these, a legitimate one, maybe. But he wasn't calling plays last year. It was Mike McDaniel. He was only here. It's the same thing as Champ Kelly. With people, I don't want Champ Kelly, who didn't get the job, whatever. But it's like he was only there since March. He was only here for 1 year. For this one season. So maybe it's going to be a little familiar compared to the Shanahan offense, even though, it was like, I don't want to stay away from Shanahan with McDaniel. Hafley is going to be the same type of offense, even though it's more run. I think Slovic, that's the kind of like this silver line. It's like different play caller, obviously different philosophy, because Hafley says, I want to run. So run and then get a quarterback and build around him and go from there. So that is my only head scratcher, but I'm not totally like, oh, that's a bad. I don't know. We'll see by the halfway point or even by the end of the season. Like, okay, was it the right choice? Has to be. I mean, it's Hafley came in. This guy was already here. He had a lot of options. The offense was going to be the bigger thing, and he went with Slovic. So, and a lot of teams were interviewing Slovic. He was candidate for different jobs. So that must mean something.
Yeah, he's got a lot of experience, too. He's worked on a lot of other good staffs, worked with C.J. Stroud when he had his one breakout year running the playoffs. And so, he comes with experience. I love the Hackett move. I know we kind of got off it on the air into that a little bit, but the fact that you got a guy like Slowick and Hackett, on the offensive side of the ball, when Hafley's specialty is on the defensive side of the ball, those are two good guys to be on there and complement each other. And look, again, I don't want to keep on bashing McDaniel, but it's going to be hard for Hafley to mess up the clock management situation like McDaniel did.
It can't get any worse, Lou.
Exactly. And so if he does as he says, which he wants to focus on the run and let those two guys call their game, I think we're going to be all right. And Bobby Slowick knows the personnel. He knows a lot of the guys on the roster, so that's a fresh take on it as well. So.
Now, talking about fresh takes, a lot of other teams are in this fresh take phase, right? So there's been 10 head coach vacancies, 8 of which are filled. 2 of them still remain. That's the Cardinals and the Raiders. So I want to play this quick game with you guys. I'm going to bring up an image. ML Sports on Twitter, or X, did their own grading, A through F, of these new head coaches. I'm going to bring up their picture and show them their grade. I'm going to go each team, and I want you guys to drop in your grade. Here we go. All right, let's start from the bottom. Let's go bottom. Bills. Bills signed Joe Brady, their offensive coordinator, as their head coach. ML Football ranked this an F-. Bobby, where do you see this? What do you see this grade? Joe Brady being promoted to head coach of the Bills.
100% agree. The Bills, F the Bills, negative F, love F-. No, you know what? It was very shocking when they fired McDermott. I know it was kind of rumored that could go down, but they did do it. And I know a lot of Dolphin fans that were kind of high on Joe Brady. I wasn't. I was one of those ones kind of like, I'm not so sure, because, when you hear, oh, this guy's an offensive guru, he said, it's like, I don't know about that. So I don't know if it's a legitimate F-, but because it's Buffalo, I'll stick with F-.
Lou, what's your grade?
I'll throw an F as well. And look, the Bills, I thought we were a dysfunctional team in the division. The Bills, you're talking about the GM and the owner throwing McDermott and the coaching staff that includes Joe Brady under the bus by them, pushing to draft Keenan Coleman. So that was a mess, and it was fun. I had my popcorn watching that saga because, the press, we got a bunch of Buffalo Bills fans in our circles, and they couldn't figure it out as well. They were sympathizing like what we've been going through these past couple of decades. So, yeah, that was wild to see. F for me as well.
Steelers with Mike McCarthy, that was pretty recent. I watched his press conference. The guy was in tears. He was over emotion. Lou, what do you grade Steelers taking Mike Tomlin's spot?
It's been too long. I actually wouldn't have minded McCarthy coming here.
Agreed.
But, just because this team needs discipline, and this team needs a voice, a coach's coach, a man's man. And so McCarthy is that, but he's been out too long, and he's trying to do something that not even Mike Tomlin could be, which is get out of the middle, stuck in the middle ground. So I also think this move is a bad one.
You think it's an F?
I'm going to give him a C- on him.
Mike Rivera's off C-.
Super Bowl.
Bobby, where do you see McCarthy taking Tomlin's spot over in Pittsburgh?
He's another one that I agree with Lou. He's one that I was actually interested that if he was going to be interviewed in Miami or be considered, I would have been okay with that and happy with it because he's an experienced coach. I understand the idea that, he may have been gone way too long. I think I want to give a C. I'm going to give it a C. I don't think it's a bad move whatsoever. Again, and even though people go, oh, look what happened. Look, he was able to do it in Green Bay. He had a successful run in Dallas, even though the last year wasn't so good. But what absolutely sold me was that press conference. Again, the passion he had about it. This is a team he grew up in, a team that he rooted for. It's like Ashley, it was like you taking over the Dolphins. You probably would have the same emotion. This is your team. This is you're going to get the coach. So to me, it's a C because it could be great for them because it's still a veteran coach and not some rookie coach who's kind of like what's going on in Baltimore. It's a veteran coach who knows how to win. It's a talented football team. The quarterback position's a question mark. Does Aaron Rodgers come back and play for his former coach? I'll give it a C. I think it was a good hire.
All right, the next one's very interesting. Tennessee. This is a spot where Mike McDaniel interviewed. I think this was actually his first head coach interview once he was let go by the Miami Dolphins. Robert Saleh, former defensive coordinator with the 49ers, but we kind of know him better even as the Jets head coach, goes to Tennessee. Bobby, do you agree on this D rating for Saleh going to Tennessee?
I think it only should get a D, probably because it was he wasn't their first choice. Everybody seemed to kind of like get the job right right before they would go to Tennessee. I think Tennessee really wanted Harbaugh. They really wanted, when Miami didn't really want Harbaugh, they reached out, they just to get up, which is great. They did their due diligence, but I don't think they really were interested in Harbaugh like that. I think Tennessee was, and they didn't get him. And so they kind of, did what Miami usually did, kind of fall back and try to, pick pieces. I think Salah's going to be better in his second stint. The only reason why it would be a D is because he wasn't their first choice, but I'd say a C-. I'll give it a C- because I think Salah is going to be a better choice. I know a lot of people thought he probably would have been good in Miami. But I'm going to give him a C- for Tennessee.
All right, I'm going to give you guys two more. This is the big one. So I'm going to start from the top. Kevin Stefanski, which was a hot one, probably trying to come down here, goes to Atlanta Falcons. Lou, is that an A+, A, B+?
Former coach of the year, and he was making lemonade with tomatoes working with the Cleveland Browns. So I like him as a coach. I think he's sharp, and he's in a very winnable division. That NFC South is terrible. You got, both teams that were vying for that division of the year finished with a losing record. The Saints are horrible, Carolina's whatever, and the Bucs are, maybe on the downward spiral. So that's a winnable division, and I like Stefanski as a hire there.
And Bobby, I'll give you one more. This is John Harbaugh, man. I kind of saw him going to New York. You had hope that he'd come down here. It just made sense for him to go to New York. He has obviously a fresh quarterback. He has Boo coming back. So Bobby, is it a A+, A-? Where do you see John Harbaugh's new chapter with the Giants?
A C+. I think it's a C. Yeah, I'm going to go C+ because obviously it's experienced coach, John Harbaugh, Super Bowl champ. It's great for New York. It's great for New York because you've got your superstar coach. I'm really surprised. I don't know if it's going to work out. That's why I give a C+. I know everybody's Jackson Dart, we'll see if he can stay healthy. We'll see how he does in his second, third year. Scatabo is really fun. We'll see how he does. They got a good young squad. But it very early on, when you kind of hear what's going on with the GM, it sounds very dysfunctional right away with, who's going to be how does the structure look? They say, oh, he answers to the owner. And then the GM says there's no real structure. That's just on paper. I think, honestly, I'm surprised that he did not take, I'm not saying Miami. I would have loved to see him in Miami because that would have been great. Experienced coach, ultimate experienced coach. Awesome. I'm not even talking about Miami. I'm surprised he didn't take the interview in Atlanta. I'm surprised he didn't go to Tennessee, but more Atlanta. Stefanski in Atlanta, I think A+ is good, and more. With Stefanski, 2-time coach of the year, but also talk about young talent. You don't know really what you have at Michael Penix yet, but you have Bijan Robinson, you got Kyle Pitts, you got Drake London, you got Grady, whatever Jenkins or whatever his last name is in the defense. That was the squad. I mean, I know it's New York, and I get it. It's awesome. But do your due damn diligence. Go talk to Atlanta, dude. I don't know. I was shocked he didn't go talk to Atlanta. I think that would have been an A+. Anybody going there would have been an A because it was the better – I think it was the better opening than the Giants.
And taxes are pretty high in New York, coming from a girl who's born and raised up there. I mean, you're going to get hit with a lot of taxes, friends. So, all right, so let's switch gears and talk Kane.
Before we do that, so you mentioned Hackett, Bobby. You mentioned it. That Hackett was signed today. So, also want to make mention that because Russ is in the room. Russ is a big Eagles fan. Sean Mannion was picked as the offensive coordinator for Philly from the Packers. So the Packers have lost both their offensive coordinator and their defensive coordinator. They almost lost LaFleur as well. He had to renegotiate. So it just that also reinforces the fact that I think we got the right guy, Bobby, because you see that the Packers are getting poached left and right, and they've been doing it on such a high level for so long that it makes me feel even better about bringing Hafley down here.
I wish they let go of LaFleur, just saying.
Yeah, LaFleur's a good coach. He's, and so,
nice on the eyes. That was one they definitely could have let go.
All right.
I almost agreed until she said that. Good thing I waited. He's right. Oh, wait, hold on a minute.
Hold on.
That's what you're talking about. No, the way you look. Rarely do I have crushes. I'm a married woman, but when I do, I do. All right. Speaking, schedule. All right. So the Canes have announced their schedule. Their schedule was released, which is crazy because their season just ended like 2 weeks ago. Meanwhile, we have to wait all the way till the second week of May to see the Dolphins schedule. But this is the 2026 Miami Hurricanes schedule. They're going to open up September 4th at Sanford. Then you got Florida A&M. Then we go to Wake Forest, Central Michigan at Clemson. You have a bye week, October 10th. The big Florida State matchup, October 24th, my birthday. They play Pitt here. Then you go to North Carolina at Notre Dame, November 7th, which is going to be a huge game.
Yes.
Then Duke, Virginia Tech, and then we end home against Boston College.
Yeah, Bobby, looking at the schedule, it doesn't look very imposing, save for the Notre Dame game. Clemson had a down year. Florida State comes here. There's no Louisville in the schedule this year, SMU.
Virginia Tech's always
no Florida or South Florida as well. Looking at the schedule, what do you think off the top?
No, I'm very happy with it. I can't wait already for next season. So this was like, this kind of helped it because I was like, when the season ended, of course I was disappointed. It sucked. We all were, right, how it finished. But I was already like, I cannot wait. I was so, what a season by the Miami Hurricanes. Like, it's disappointing as the finish was. It's like, you can't be that upset. I mean, what an awesome turnaround. Fletcher, Tony, I it's okay. I'm back. Feel I'm back, but still, but looking at this, like, I'm already very excited about next year. Yeah. Clemson, FSU, Pitt, Notre Dame is probably the biggest game on there where it's like, they were sitting there saying, oh, they should have been in it. Not Miami. And Miami to have that run solidified that they should have been in there. And damn well that game right there is going to be a prove-it game for the Hurricanes, but more Notre Dame. I'm very excited. What's up, Bobby? There's another awesome Bobby there.
And then how about Marcus
we're talking Bobby Slowick. We're on with Bobby and Bobby Strauss Jr. coming in on the chat from the Dive Bar. So it's a Bobby night here at the SoFLo Sports Show.
And then with Notre Dame, during the Natty, during the pregame broadcast, so a lot of Marcus Freeman, and obviously he's happy to be at the Natty, but not really because he would have loved a shot at it. So if he ends up staying as their coach, he's definitely going to want his retaliation against the Canes per se on November 7th. That's probably their biggest game. Looking at their schedule, I think. Yeah,
no doubt. And two quick, NFL ties, if you will, to this schedule. The Hurricanes starting off at Stanford. That is the last venue in Palo Alto where the Dolphins played the Super Bowl in 1985, Super Bowl 19. So fun fact on that. And then going to North Carolina, of course, means exactly. And so that's where's the Belichick?
I got you.
We wanted to bring up the fact, Bobby, that the big news yesterday. Bill Belichick not in on the first ballot.
Boo-hoo-hoo.
Look, Jimmy Johnson came out, was going crazy on it, and I agree. But his resume speaks for itself. But similar to baseball, where the all-time hits leader and Pete Rose isn't in the Hall of Fame, the all-time home run leader isn't in Barry Bonds. Sometimes when you cheat and you circumvent the situations a little bit, you got to pay a penalty. You got to pay a price. And some of the voters said, "Hey, look, let's make him suffer a little bit for what he did and how he compromised the integrity of the game." So your take on that, Bobby? What do you think?
Yeah, I was shocked when he didn't get in, but you know what? 100% people say the greatest coach of all time. No, he's not. I mean, he is one of the greats. You could say that. I mean, he did it, but no, I mean, I was shocked he wasn't a first ballot Hall of Famer, but when the reports started coming out as to why he wasn't, made a lot of sense for all the reasons you said. If those are being considered, those reasons, then that should be the case. I know a lot of people say, oh, look what he did before Brady, look what he did after Brady. I get it, but you still got to credit, but I don't think he is the greatest of all time. I've seen that a couple times. How's the greatest of all? He's not the greatest of all time. No, a lot better. And there's one for sure from, oh, you're being a homer. No, I'm not. The only one who's, he won 2 Super Bowls, but he undefeated season, did not cheat, Don Shula's the greatest coach of all time. But no, I was shocked that he didn't get in on the first ballot, but I was happy with it. Good for him. Yeah,
and I want to mention, you mentioned Shula, so I got to mention this story. Speaking of the anti-cheating, it's a lot of players have echoed this story that many years ago they were playing against the Steelers at the old Three River Stadium, and the Steelers had some issue with their locker room. And so the Dolphins and them shared the same locker room. Pittsburgh obviously went first. Apparently, the Steelers left the playbook in the locker room, and one of the players saw it. They started going nuts. They're like, "Hey, coach, look what we got. Look what we got." Shula said, "Bring it over to me." He saw that it was a playbook. He got it, turned it right back to them, said, "Hey, you guys left this behind." So Shula had all the plans, everything in front of him, and he refused to look at it and said, no. We want to give this back to them. We're going to beat them the honest way. So it says a lot about Shoes.
100%.
All right, and one more thing about the Canes. We just found out recently that we have we're going to have a new quarterback. Carson Beck, he's on his 27th year of eligibility at this point. Hasn't been in college in 2 years.
You got to stop playing sometime.
Dude, I don't get it, man. I wonder if I still have eligibility. I finished a master's degree. I'm sure I have eligibility.
Yeah.
So Darian Mensah, he had his last season at Duke, but has since now figured all that out and has officially transferred to the U. So he will be our starting quarterback moving forward. That's exciting.
3,973 yards last year, 34 touchdowns, ACC title MVP player. And he likely got Miami in by beating Virginia in the ACC title game. So this is a huge pickup for the Canes. Bobby, I know that you're sponsored by Caneswear. They've been obviously swamped during this hurricane run. What's your take on Mensah coming to Miami? That's huge.
Huge. I mean, again, I'm so excited already for next season and what Miami's going to do. Shout out to Caneswear. The Caneswear podcast, which is on FTSN, will be live tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern time on the FTSN YouTube channel. Those guys have been killing it. Gio and Brett and Mondo. And the Caneswear shop, it's been mad. I've been seeing videos. Brett's been sending us videos in the group chat. They had a packed house during this playoff run, and for Miami to turn around after Cam Ward goes to be the number one pick, they turn around, they get Carson Beck, they have an unbelievable season, unbelievable playoff run, and then you're like, okay, what are you going to do? Well, they lost out on a couple of the possible transfers. Ty Simpson, they were trying to get him. I think Sorsby. I'm probably butchering that last name. Try to do that. Then they go and they get Mensah, who not only could throw it, but he can run it, and they get his number one receiver out of Duke as well. You think about pairing this guy up with Tony and Fletcher and company. Miami is going to have an unbelievable season next year. I'm super excited about the Miami Hurricanes.
Absolutely. And by the way, we got to shout out the UM basketball program as well. They're off to a 17-4 start. Yeah. They are 6-2 in the ACC. Beat Stanford last night, so they're blazing. Jai Lucas, who a former Duke assistant coach, is now running the showdown here, and you can see that it's made a big difference in him being part of the Hurricanes now and getting their the winning ways from the Blue Devils down to Duke to Miami. I know Bobby's not going to want to hear that. He's a big Carolina fan, but having Lucas down here is a blessing for us in Miami.
No, nothing for nothing, but your Arizona Wildcats are what, like 20-0 right now? Like
I am. So
I mean, give credit where credit's due. You guys are like
fun
ridiculous.
fact. I was a Hurricane. The Hurricanes.
There's your Canes guy.
There it is.
Right.
17-4 and 6-2. So that's a big deal. So but this is the Miami show.
And hold on, St. John's in the mention.
It's all
St.
good.
Yeah. All right, but Bobby, I know you got to get going. I know you got a big show coming up, so definitely promote the show you got coming up now and all the great things you got going on, where everybody can find you. Take us off.
I am.
Yeah. So we got Vince. You gotta love marriage, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
enough of that. I want to see Bobby's beautiful face, handsome face, and that ring, baby. Show me that ring one more time.
You know what I'm saying? I don't know. I don't know what ring you're talking about. Anyway, so no. She can't stand me already. But no. So Finn's Talk today, 10 minutes. Me and Finn Sammy, powered by FTSN and Finn's TV. That was one of the awesome things of last season was partnering with Sammy. He's an awesome guy. What he got going on at Finn's TV and behind the scenes, in front of the camera, all that awesome individual. And I'm just excited about partnering with him and doing this and continuing Finn's Talk today. We got a great show. We're going to talk, obviously, the Dolphins coaching staff. We're going to talk about, is Miami really going to be Green Bay South? Should it be, or should we call it Green Bay South? Possible next Dolphin quarterback. Who's going to be? Is it Malik Willis? Is that the way to go? Could it be a late round quarterback? I know a lot of people, obviously, I love Mendoza. But Mendoza's not going to be there. And I don't know if Miami's would ever actually do it. If they did, as much as we need everything else, I would go crazy for Mendoza, but we're not doing it. So, but there's other options later on in the draft that you could possibly go. You think about a Drew Allard at Penn State. You think about Talon Green out of Arkansas, or even kid out of Baylor, Sawyer Robertson. That's a guy I've been watching on film. We have the Finn's Talk draft show that we do on Monday nights. We haven't done it because Josh Wingate's got his ice storm going on in Delaware. Coach has his thing going on. I don't know where the hell Coach is. He's in maybe the Carolinas. I don't know. They're all we are national, international brand on FTSN. And I'm in Tennessee, so we haven't been able to do it. But watching film on Sawyer Robinson out of Baylor, and very intrigued by him. He's like a late round guy. So we're going to talk about that, and then possibly, and also talk about different free agent quarterbacks, different draft picks at 11, where Miami could go, especially with Sully running the show in Miami. So it's going to be a good show. So hopefully in the next 8 minutes or 7 minutes, people tune in and join in on the conversation.
Absolutely. And you do a bang-up job. I mean, year-round, but with the draft, you did a marathon show last week where you started at some point Saturday morning and you were still going on. I don't know how you did it, but it was nonstop coverage the whole day, and I loved it. And so you'll be all over that. Looking forward to that. And, I wonder if Sully's going to be if my guy's not there at 11, maybe I trade back and get some more draft capital.
I think, yes.
We'll see. I think, I'm very curious to see but we don't have to worry about what Greer didn't do. I'm more excited about what Sully's going to do, and we are thrilled to death.
It's a blank slate, and I'll tell people this too. I know people are like, oh, well, yes, you should go back and look what Green Bay did, and that might give you an idea of what Sully may do. But, I don't think it's going to be a complete copycat, minus the quarterback. I loved what he said about quarterback.
Yes.
Every year, every other year, drafted quarterback. And if you hit on one and you hit on another, that's trade value, baby. It's like, yes, where the hell has this been? Thank you. So I'm excited. Yes, all off season we cover the draft. This is going to be our third year with the Fins Talk Draft Show. We start Thursday night during the draft. We'll start Thursday night through the whole draft, Friday, and then Saturday, as Lou says, the whole day. We got a great crew on FTSN. So we just love doing all that stuff. So we're excited.
Perfect. And we're going to be seeing you in a couple of weeks here for DCC. We're going to let you go so you can get ready for your show coming up. Again, guys, definitely, if you're watching on Twitter or X, come on over to YouTube, give us a like for tonight's episode, subscribe to the channel, and then immediately following this, go check out Fin Sports Talk Network, and definitely check out Bobby's and Sammy getting together now. And, so we'll be stay tuned for that. I know you're going to mention DCC. Big E's up against
not so much DCC, but I'm
battle here, and so we're going to discuss that. Big love for Big E. We're trying to make sure that he's enjoying every moment of life and looking forward towards great things coming up for him. So
100%.
Bobby, well, thank you for joining us tonight, and we will catch up with you soon. Always great chatting with you. We'll see you soon.
Later.
Take care, Bobby.
All right. So what happened?
Go one more. The other screen.
I'm getting there.
All right.
I'm getting there. Okay, there we go. All right, guys. So you heard it. We had a great show tonight with Bobby from Fins Talk Sports Network. One thing I wanted to mention that you started, so not so much DCC, right? DCC is going to come. DCC is going to go on for the next 15, 20 years.
Well, then we're going to see Bobby at DCC.
We will see,
yeah.
And then, so I spoke about this last week in details. I will again speak about it next week more, but we are running the Big Love for Big E. Big E is now home from the University of Pennsylvania, UPenn, and so he's going to be here in South Florida for the remainder of the time until he decides what treatment he's going to take next. So until that happens, or continuing on, big love for Big E. So show Ian support as he battles cancer for the second time. You can send him letters, care packages, gift cards. I have a whole bag here filled with stuff that I'm going to give to him next week. If you want to give him a gift card, you can Zelle or Venmo me money. I know the restaurants that he likes down here, so we're getting that. We got some presents for his daughters today, some really great stuff. And so please consider supporting him or just send him good thoughts and prayers. It's important that we show him as much love, big love for Big E.
Yeah, that's what it's all about. We've been rocking our Big E Strong bracelets. Yes. And so, we're obviously thinking about him wholeheartedly all the time, nice. And we want him to, as he says, he's getting busy living, which is what it's all about. And I know as things are coming in, which every day it seems something comes in that you're sending his way, which is awesome. Yeah. He's able to enjoy and get his mind off things and enjoy little things that he doesn't have to think twice about. And so if you guys are doing that, we tremendously thank you for on his behalf. And and he's definitely getting all those things and enjoying them. And again, he's thriving and getting busy, living life.
Absolutely, definitely. So I'll be seeing him next week to give him all these packages that are. It looks like almost Christmas in our living room again. So I'm excited to get that to him. And then, guys, somebody asked me, when does this campaign end? This campaign is not ending. I'm pushing through this. So there's no, oh, by Thursday I need the gift card. No, you send it to me when you can.
Yeah.
Send me whatever you need to, and I will ensure that it gets to them.
Absolutely. And Miami Mike, we got your, I got something in the mail coming for you, so you check that out. And so, yeah. Speaking of, you mentioned Christmas, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention Russ. And a lot of people in a lot of parts of the country right now that are under snow watch. And so Russ shared with me, we had a text back and forth going. He's got, he's been out of work last couple of days because he snowed in, as are many people. But he's making the most of it. And Russ, we will try to send some warmth your way from down here.
Well, Luke, people can't go buy a Lexus if there's 3 feet of snow out there, so
true,
you can't go to work at the Lexus dealer, and you can't go ride one off.
Yeah, I don't know. I never had a snow day before.
Luke doesn't understand.
I've had hurricane days, but not snow days. So,
no.
But all right, look, let's get you out of this. The Heat, Miami Heat, are obviously in the. A lot of people are trying to link Giannis at the
that'd be the best day of my life if that happens.
We will see if it happens. As it stands right now, they're 25-23 and in 8th place in the NBA. That is not too good. It's kind of like where they've been the last couple of years. They're playing the Bulls tonight in Chicago, and that's a makeup game because that game was not able to be played.
Because the floor was like not even, and they tried so hard.
It was the water level.
The condensation of the floor.
There's a rink underneath it for the Blackhawks, and so they had to postpone that game, and they're making it up tonight. Oddly enough, they're scheduled to play down here the next 2 nights against the Bulls. So this is like a 3-game series.
That's a lot of bowl
coming up. That's a lot of exactly a lot of bowl. So speaking of Bulls, Derrick Rose had his uniform retired by the Bulls. That was pretty cool. So yeah, that'll be. We'll check that out as soon as this show's over, and of course checking out Finstock Sports Network with Bobby and Sammy coming up. But yeah, no, we're excited to see what the Heat can do. They got to get it together here and string off some wins. If not, they're going to have to trade for Giannis. And then the Florida Panthers, they are 6 points behind Montreal, the Canadiens, and the Boston Bruins for that last playoff spot. So still plenty of season left, but they're in a tough spot, and they're going to have to fight their way out of that the playoff-less dungeon right now that they're in. So
it's okay, we'll figure it out.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, listen, like I mentioned, I want to thank Bobby for joining us tonight. Thank everybody in the room who interacted. Make sure you like tonight's episode, so hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. And we will see you guys next week for a special Super Bowl preview show.
One of my favorite of the year.
Some other hidden features in there that we're putting together and working on. So we'll see you then.
All right, guys. Have a great week. Stay warm. Cold front's coming. More snow. And we will see you next week.
Good night, guys.
Bye.